Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is going to be another reading. I'm in the basement bedroom right now. I'll have to go up to my late grandmother's bedroom in a couple days because my godbrother is going to have to use the basement for something, and I will do that for a little bit. So I had some decks that I was thinking maybe I would use. I do love the decks that I have right now because there were some that I had next to me. Um, there's like a chair next to me where I kept some of the decks, and these were some of the ones that I have kept out because I use them frequently. I use the other ones too, but they're in one of the luggages, and I have my things in an area of the basement where it's kind of blocked unless I start to take stuff out and then get to the thing that I need to get to and then put the other stuff back. So I just figured I wouldn't get too much stuff out, but I wanted to use as much time as I have in this area to make videos. I actually forgot my laptop upstairs, so I had to get it because I left some stuff upstairs since I had to go back anyway. And it's interesting because I'm the only one that sleeps in that room, so it's kind of like uh, if I have to, I will. And I think that was one of the discussions too. I also have this up here. It's not finished yet. I was painting it, and then I took some time to think about it because I wanted to do some things to the painting that I wanted to do. And then the being in the painting that I'm putting in the picture was like, no, I want it like this. So I did go back to this, which was kind of like a original getting it on the paint or paper or the I used the watercolor one, and then I put them onto cards. So I do love the painting. I feel like it was also a reminder too. Sorry, because I feel like the painting was just like one of those signs. It was like remember, and I'll get more into that in the video. Um, because it's my godparents' movie room, and they have stuff hung up, so I'm not sure if it's a little strange. So I cover it up because I prefer just having it kind of like the way that I have it right now. So I know that um, when I first had to go up to, or the second time when I went up to my godmother's or late grandmother's room, it wasn't something that I didn't want to do. I was like, okay, I have to do this. So, um, I felt like there was an angelic being that was like, you mustn't worry. And I remember I was moving stuff until like the morning, and I didn't um know until my godmother called me because she was still out of state and she was coming back. She was saying that she needed to do something and to just like stick around like the first floor. And so I didn't sleep at that point, so it was kind of like an all-nighter, but it was an all-nighter, but I wasn't too worried about it since I do tend to sleep a lot, um, especially these days. And this could go into the reading too, so you could either skip ahead or don't skip ahead. But it was okay, but then when I got back and I had to go upstairs, um, it was like the energy wasn't in me to just fight to stay awake because I tend to um I could sleep. I do enjoy just sleeping, but there's just that part of me that enjoys being up at like a night owl, um, but not to the extent of not sleeping. So I did end up falling asleep without any troubles. Um, I felt like the energy was and the message there was saying not to worry because I feel like I didn't feel anything bad or anything. But I know like in my childhood home, I would just keep myself awake. Um, and I would be up until like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I would have to get ready to go to school. So it definitely wasn't helpful. So the thing that I was thinking about, that I was talking about in the last reading, that I um, was saying, oh, I thought about it, and then I didn't bring it up because it it didn't come to me, and then it did again. So maybe it was supposed to be for a separate video. Um, because I'm just thinking that I feel like my godmother definitely is aware of certain things that I do and that I see. I know, especially growing up, she would see me just staring into the abyss of like uh darkness of a certain section of the room or even not dark, and then she would turn around and see what I was looking at, and there wasn't anything for her to see. And it wasn't something where she pushed it away. It was something that was something that I was and that I did, and that was the comfort in it because it wasn't it, and especially how I am now. Um, of course, he tried to do what is good and keep in mind other people, especially if somehow they're involved and it could be physically or like emotionally involved and invested. And I don't like trying to step on people's toes in that way. So I feel like it's good. The things that I do now, especially with readings, I do, of course, like to have the aspect of helping and comforting and hopefully healing certain stages, especially when the person might be going through something that is taking them a period of time to get through. Um, if it if it could put it somebody at ease to hear messages, then of course I'll want to do that. I am not I'm not a saint and I'm not an antichrist, but there was that part of that connection and the realization and acceptance of the things that I did and who I am. And I didn't want to strive to plaster it in a way where it would be something to be idolized. It was just something that I wanted it to be there and for that part of me to be present, and that satisfies me because it doesn't take away and it does kind of give it like a happy feeling to be able to grow into the fullest potential. Um, it also feels like I'm going to start pulling out cards because it is later. I was trying to find stuff and I was trying to find something to cover it and I didn't have it. So like again, wanting that part of me to exist, and that is something that fulfills me. It's also calling on strengths too. And if you've seen tarot readings or do tarot readings, you'll know the strength card. And strength could be different things. It can also be acknowledging yourself too, especially when you can be cornered and you don't have anything else to defend yourself besides yourself. And so you go deeply within yourself and find those abilities, find those things that um, can get you through that time, get you through and protect yourself and give you the strength that you need to go forward. It could also be asking yourself, um, what type of strength do I need? How much strength do I need? And how much is it going to take to get through this? And a lot of times we do end up going through different things in life, and it's difficult, but it's remembering I've gone through something before and it may have been more difficult or sad or um another time. So I know that I can get through this time. And I could do it again and again and again. I would say that those times where you feel like maybe you're throwing rocks at the moon, that's the saying, where you feel frustration and anger and maybe resentment and going through those different phases. I don't mean phases in a bad way, but just in general, because you'll go through these things and it may cycle out, it may come back, you may get through it sooner than you think. It's a good thing to kind of take that time to level yourself, to go and balance yourself, and again, to find that strength. When I say to go back to origin, it kind of reminds me of like a giant tree with the roots and um, going so deep and like going so far, and everything is being connected, and even swamps too. One area is connected to another part of the swamp, and um, to really go back and back and back, because one may think, well, or not, that I come from just the family that did this and just the family that did that, and there was nothing to it. But I mean, no judgment if that's how you feel about the um uh, by all means. I'm not gonna say whether or not, because I'm not in that. But where do the roots or origin or source take us back to? And we think about the elements, we think about the beings, if you believe in the God source, if you believe in gods and goddesses, and the different things that they did, and the different things that the stories teach us, the parables, the lessons that people have throughout the centuries and throughout different parts of the world. Those are our ancestors, and that's the origins of our strength. And I feel like that's one of the aspects of religion, spirituality, whatever you want to define it as, why it's so important for humanity to find that source, to find um, the creator, or where your origin story is, or how it began. And it's part of this your strength too. It kind of is that missing piece of the puzzle, and sometimes it takes a little bit, and sometimes, and a lot of times, a person's piece is different than another person's piece. Of course, we're different people and we have different stories, even if we're the same religion. That's what defines us. There's also that balance um, that comes back to us, especially really what history teaches us, the redistribution of wealth and resources. That's what the scales, that's what they weighed upon. Um, and it comes back time and time again. And it could also be that origin story, too, of what made civilization the way that it is now. What were the things that made it revolutionary? What were the things that we needed to make better? We needed to do better. And as for the picture, I feel like it was like definitely a sign to remember. Because I feel like I put that cloth, it's technically a bag, on top of something that would be recognizable so I could just pick it up. But I couldn't find it, and I wasn't going to be digging through the stuff just to reorganize it again. And I could really do it neatly, but when it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm not really trying to do that. So, if you have clairvoyance, Archangel Raphael, sorry, I was going to say Raphael. Raphael didn't come up in this, but it's Raziel. Oh, I didn't um do that. I didn't put the archangels on the other reading because it in my mind it came and went, and I'll have to find a resource because I don't like just putting like anything. I want to put something that I found helpful, like when I went on a website and I thought the information was teaching me something that I maybe didn't know, or maybe clarified it or said it in words that were um, like they spoke the Adrian language, like they just understood how my brain worked and how um, I understood things, because especially like with math, it takes me a while to learn math. Um, and so I had to be taught in a way where I'll understand, or if it's taught in a way where I don't really understand it as well, it's going to take me a long time to understand it. And even it takes a long time for me to understand it with just me learning it on my own. So, Archangel Raziel, I'm helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so that you can clearly see the heavenly love. Because I feel like the painting there was like, remember the journey. So, even when you do throw rocks at like the moon out of frustration and anger, you're um, the the world's just like, girl, you gotta get back on that horse and keep going. So, um, the next card is Clairaudience, Archangel Zadkiel. Notice the loving guidance you hear inside your mind, or from other people. 'Cause I feel like the painting there was like, remember the journey. So, even when you do throw rocks at like the moon out of frustration and anger, you're like, because I feel like Clear your space. Archangel Jophiel. Get rid of clutter, clear the energy around you, and use feng shui. I feel like there's an energy that really wants you to optimize the way that you do something or to change it up. There's something that's just not functioning as well as it should be, and it might lead to that frustration. It might lead to just constantly hitting that wall or dead end that you keep trying to get past by doing these things, and the world's just like, maybe you've grown out of them and you need to do something else like this. There's the leadership card, Archangel Gabriel. It is time for you to assume your leadership power and position and lovingly guide others. This also reminds me of, like, well, in general, Archangel Gabriel, who was said to be kind of like the right hand person or angel for God or God source. Um, it kind of is that energy of that person. It could be a partner, it could be your best friend, it could be, of course, both. Uh, that person that just has your back. And there's this one thing that was like, it was like a joke with that and saying, like, Lucifer went up to the heavens and then he was talking trash about God, and then Gabriel overheard, and then Gabriel was like, "Hey God, did you hear what he said, or what he what they said?" And then he's like, "No, what they say?" Um, and it was just like the whole thing about Gabriel being like in the posse and having God's back in that way. So let me see. There has been really, the word that came to me is generous. There has been really pure cards because I didn't turn over all the other cards. I say that, and then I turn over the Five of Pentacles. With the Five of Pentacles, it does feel like you're trying to work with a resource that just isn't available for you to use. And I'm not saying that as like a person too. Um, and then the Eight of Wands was coming up too. And the Eight of Wands was today in my mind feeling like it was attacking energy and lack. So that goes with the Five of Pentacles. So it does feel like reworking situations, like if you don't have anything that you used to have, then what is something that would do the trick too? It feels like you'll there kind of feels like energy of trying to make the resources last. It doesn't feel like the resources just come into your bank account in that way. it doesn't feel like the resources just come up every day or you can replenish it as easily. There's just something about like the Eight of Wands and like the attack energy. It doesn't need to be a physical attack in that way, but it feels like there is definitely an energy that caused the lack. But there's the Two of Pentacles and then the Page of Wands. So that makes sense when I was saying for the Five of Pentacles to make ends meet or to pay attention to those things. And then Two of Wands is interesting because it's like energy that's not going to get you down. It's like the energy that keeps going. Um, it is an energy of freedom because it is, well, it's a page, and then in a way, it's kind of like the youthful energy of the court cards in the wands, and it's fire in this deck, which it does reflect off of freedom too. That if it's worth the prize, it's worth the fight. And I mentioned that it's actually a title too. The cards that I was talking about being generous is the Four of Fire and the Nine of Water. Water. This also reminds me of different ways of like doing things and seeing things and maybe saying things too. Because some words I like, depending on, even in the US, depending on how you say them, it's different in different areas. It's like water, like some people say water. Sometimes I don't pronunciate some words. I don't feel like I have an accent, but of course, somebody that's not from this area will say otherwise, maybe. So, the Nine of Water is your wishes come true, concerns fade away, a love of life. So, with that lack, it feels like that energy of like you mustn't worry. And then the Four of Fire, contentment, peace, and abundance, a happy home life, a successful completion of a project. I will say these are minor arcana cards. I'm not saying they come and go frequently, but of course there's going to be some days where um, it's that frustration that might come out. And as I was saying, to really ground yourself in those times, and if you can, to take time before saying something, before making a decision, because it's not great making a decision when you're in those mindsets, in those moods, in those heightened type of energies that uh, don't exactly uplift you in those ways. Because once you say something, once you do something, especially if it involves other people, if it could really hurt somebody that you care for, it's like you can't take it back once you did it. So if you do it, or if the other person does it, again, it could be like flip-flopped. Um, there's just that chance of like moving forward from it after doing it, seeing if you can work through it, and if there's that forgiveness on either one person's end or both people's ends, there's like no take backs. So even when you really want to make a decision, even when you want something to happen, when you're trying to like yell or like throw stuff at the moon in that way, it's it's not solving those problems. And you don't want to add more fuel to the fire. So it might take time for you to make those decisions and really see and evaluate all the aspects that you can evaluate. Um, and know the things that you can control in your life and things that um, you may have to see things through, and that's up to you. But there's no point of like cursing the world. Um, or if somebody in your past, especially, or maybe you're still getting past it, or somebody did you dirty, and um, just in my like how I'm seeing it, there's not a lot of I don't see that there's a point of just putting so much energy, so much hate towards that person or situation because you could put energy in something that could uplift you and something that could make your life better or more comfortable. Um, See where you're using your energy, especially if you don't have a lot of energy to like put towards different things. And to know your surroundings, to think and watch, think, and once you make your decision, that's that. But I think there's going to be a satisfaction when you make a decision and it's something that you decided when you felt like it was a good decision to make or um, the best decision that you can make based off of what you um, were able to evaluate and see. So the strength card did come up and the Nine of Swords. There can be questioning of the strength too. And what gets me strongly with this, especially the external too, I feel like there's relying energies and it almost feels like if it's almost like if you're in a group project and the other people are relying on you to do your part of the project, it kind of feels like that. There's definitely an energy of like, can she or he pull this off? And it's I would say it's not like a good thing necessarily because you're trying. So, what are the things that you could do? What things are presenting itself to you in life? And I'm not saying it like other people necessarily. What are they presenting to you in like that aspect? Because the Hierophant is here in the present, and the Hierophant is kind of like that faithfulness to it and to have faith in it. And it also feels like the will because of the saying. And you don't have to take it in a religious way if you're not of that religion, but it kind of reminds me because there's like the shepherd here, it's like the Lord is my shepherd. And there's that sense of guidance that comes out of it. The obstacle is the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups, it's interesting for this reading because it's like you're trying to find a flow, but it might have been, well, there was like the eclipse in Pisces, and it's also going to be Libra season soon. Yes. And then it feels like the push and pull of the tides. And since it's like the tides, I feel like it links to time too. The How to overcome the obstacle is the King of Swords, and the overall energy being the High Priestess, which is such a clarifying combination. Because it also feels like there's protecting energy too. Because of the imagery on this one. And with the King of Swords, it's getting all the fluff out of your eyes, or less clouded, um, needing to see a situation for what it is, and not to let those tides, or not to make a decision like when the tides are like high, like it's like almost a false start, or um, when you make a decision when you are not in the right headspace. I say right headspace. Um, a lot of times we look back and we're like, I definitely made that decision when I was upset, for sure. Because now I'm thinking that maybe I should have done this. And we're trying to avoid those factors. So, as much as it honestly sucks, um, it it's good to center yourself before doing that. I feel like it's constantly uh, energy here, especially with the Nine of Wands and the Strength card, where people rely on you and like look at you like hoping that you can follow through. Then you have the past with the Knight of Cups. This is energy, and I've said it, this phrase in another reading, like, when you pick the flowers and like the petals and saying, does she love me? Does she love me not? Love me, love me not. I was gonna say, well, I said love me lots. So it could be that level of how much do you love someone or something enough to pull through with that strength in the Knight of Swords. And when you make those decisions, it kind of just like is an energy of when you end up hurting somebody and someone just looks at you and you're like, why did you do that? Um, and even when you don't do it, um, you kind of have your own questions. And I feel like it's why you don't want to hurt somebody, why you don't want to do those things. Because I don't fucking get off of like hurting people or mutilating people or like bastardizing people. If you just strive to try to do the right thing. And that's why time can be a strength because it gives you those moments to make the decision that can be worthwhile. Because there's also the energy of like, this energy is so pure, especially when we go back to origin. Because when we go back to source, the beginning of time, the beginning of the world, there wasn't war, there wasn't hate, there wasn't racism, there wasn't displacing people in that way. It was brought on later. And it's almost like a lot of times the world makes up for it, or people have to try to do better. So in the future, there's the Three of Wands. So it does look like the ships haven't arrived yet. Things are still in process, but it's about being able to do the right things at the right time to make it worth the wait. It does feel like it's worth the wait if you can wait, um, and if you can make the decisions after waiting. So I'm about to end the reading. Let me just see. And then you have the Ace of Pentacles. This Ace of Pentacles came out in another reading. It was interesting because you also have that aspect of the Knight of Wands, or what's like the next move, because there was the King of Pentacles in there too, and I wasn't reading for gender because I did think it did link to other archetypes. Because there's like a reliance on what's our next move. So, oh yeah, Hornet's energy before I end the reading, because I was thinking it's been coming up lately on my feed, and I didn't really have any ambition on trying to remove a hornet's nest, so it was talking about resilience and fighting and protection and just kind of that warrior spirit energy that you could get from the hornet totem. Because there's energy that ups the antics, like they see how resilient or how you're in your leadership position, and they are inspired by that, and they want to strive to be um, in that warrior energy too. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was clarifying. I hope I cleared the air, and I'll see you in another video.